Hey, what the hell is going on with your face? What the hell's wrong with you? Hey, it's Nick. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. Subscribe. New daily videos, pretty much. And you can check me out on Patreon. Great way to help out. These videos are DIY, and I want to keep doing them so I can use your help to keep them going. It's at patreon.com/NickDShow. Patreon.com/NickDShow. Pick a tier and donate a little dough, helps me out, and you'll get bonus materials too. Also, my podcast drops every Tuesday and Friday at the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. Check out radiomisfits.com. Subscribe today. Okay, so I saw Death on the Nile last night, which is Kenneth Branagh's new version of the Agatha Christie story that he directed, and he stars in as Hercule Poirot, and it sucked. I also came to the realization that I finally have to admit that, you know what? I don't like Kenneth Branagh. I don't. I think he's an okay actor, better at Shakespeare than anything else. But I think he's a hack as a director. I was looking at his credits, and of the 30-something years that he's been directing movies and starring in movies, I've liked maybe 4 of them. Maybe. I thought Henry V was really cool right out of the gate. You know, he's doing the Olivier thing, and I think the best thing that Kenneth Branagh ever did was basically introduce America to his better half at that time, Emma Thompson, and then he screwed around on her and they got divorced and all that shit. But the best thing that Kenneth Branagh ever did for anybody on this planet was let people know who Emma Thompson was. So thank you. I don't thank you for your shitty movies, but I thank you for introducing me to Emma Thompson, who is a gift. You're not. So no, I didn't like Death on the Nile. I already knew who the killer was or who done it, all that shit. I don't read Agatha Christie books, but I did see the original film from 1978 with Peter Ustinov as Perrault. And I much preferred that version to this one. So it didn't work. And the main problem is Kenneth Branagh. I mean, I cannot stand the guy. And he, of course, is the focal point of the movie. He gets the most close-ups and the backstory. The most important backstory explains Perrault's stupid-ass mustache. I didn't like it. But it got me to thinking about murder mysteries and whodunits more specifically. Now, there are a lot of murder mysteries out there that you can talk about. But, whodunits is the big one, where, like this Agatha Christie stuff, the Death on the Nile, where eventually, there's a murder or two, or people start dropping off like flies, and someone has to solve the case, and probably, one of the cliches is to gather all the suspects into one room, and then have the detective or the person who is solving the mystery go through each person's story, and in flashback, usually, they go back and say, hey, you did this, you took the weapon, you wiped the fingerprints, blah, blah, blah. So that's a common Hollywood trope and a cliche and a genre of movies is the whodunit. So I've got here a bunch of whodunits. Some of them are good and some of them are bad. Now, Agatha Christie obviously is, I've never read any of her books. Never. In all the years. And I've read a lot of books. And the guy who invented the detective murder mystery, in fact, is my favorite writer of all time, and that's Edgar Allan Poe. Poe invented it. He invented it. There'd be no murder mysteries. There'd be no whodunits. There'd be no novels of that kind. There'd be no Agatha Christie's or anybody who writes those kind of murder mysteries. That it wouldn't happen. None of it would exist were it not for my favorite writer of all time, Edgar Allan Poe. He invented the genre. So I do like a good murder mystery, especially if they're written by Poe. So that's where you can trace them all back. Trace them all back. You can go, well, this person wrote this, and just, but no. Shh, quiet. Go right back to Edgar Allan Poe, because that's where it all started. He invented it. So if you like murder mysteries, and if you like Agatha Christie, and if you like, the Sam Spade stuff, and and all those, those murder mysteries and things like that, you can thank Edgar Allan Poe for that, and you can thank Edgar Allan Poe for millions of other amazing things in the world of literature. We should be thankful. Every day we should wake up and go, you know what? I'm really happy that Edgar Allan Poe lived and wrote. You should say that every morning. It's a mantra of mine. So anyway, Agatha Christie stuff had been, made into movies and TV shows and series and all that kind of stuff. But the ones in America, the movies in America that were made, Death on the Nile was the 1978 version. Now you got the new version, which sucks. The 1978 version was kind of fun. Peter Ustinov played Pierrot, which I will take him any day over Branagh. And then there was Murder on the Orient Express, which Branagh needlessly remade a few years ago, and also his version was not good. And him playing Pierrot compared to Albert Finney, please. So I like the original 1974 version. Lumet directed it, of Murder on the Orient Express. 9,000 times better than Hack Branagh, Kenneth Hacka. So Murder on the Orient Express, Death on the Nile. You had Evil Under the Sun, which had Peter Ustinov come back. This was a few years after Death on the Nile. Not a great movie, but kind of fun. There was Mirror Cracked, where Angela Lansbury played Mrs. Marple. The other sort of hero, detective solver. And then obviously that led to her doing Murder, She Wrote on TV. But yeah, those were sort of the big Agatha Christie ones. Death on the Nile, Murder on the Orient Express, Evil Under the Sun, and Mirror Cracked. I wouldn't be surprised if Jackass Branagh remade Evil Under the Sun just because he can wear his stupid mustache and, steal focus from every other person in the movie. And by the way, the new Death on the Nile movie, I hate 90% of the cast. I just realized that I'm watching the movie last night and I'm like, wow, I don't like anybody in this. Annette Bening, I love Annette Bening. And that's kind of it. That's pretty much it. Actually, there are a couple of other supporting actresses that I like that I think are kind of cool. One of the AbFab women are in it. But that's it. I mean, I realize I hate 90% of the people in the movie. Like Russell Brand is in it. And Gal Gadot, who couldn't act her way out of it. She's a terrible actress. I don't give a shit if she's Wonder Woman. She's an awful actress, and she's awful in the movie. She's terrible. Armie Hammer. Let's not get into that. He's bad in it. But I realize that, Kenneth Branagh not only, cast himself in the lead, as he does in a lot of his movies, in his hack-ass movies, but he cast 90% of actors that I can't stand. So, anyway. But yeah, so all right, here are some other ones. Name of the Rose. This was a movie that came out in 1986 with Sean Connery, and it took place in a where with a whole bunch of there's a murder mystery in the 17th or 16th century, where it was a murder mystery about who's killing people and in the world of monks. So there's a lot of monks in it. And Sean Connery plays a monk detective who's going to solve the murder mystery. But this is the only thing I remember about the movie. I remember thinking it was okay. If I'm not mistaken, the guy who directed Quest for Fire, which always reminds me of my old buddy Joe Donatello, the late great Joe Donatello, who hated that movie. Hey, listen, that goddamn caveman movie can fucking save it. That's my friend Joe. Hey, what's this bullshit Quest for Fire movie? He always used to say, listen, Quest for Fire, that was the fucking movie that made me buy a VCR so I wouldn't have to go out and watch a bunch of shit. That was Joe Donatello's review of Quest for Fire. That fucking caveman movie, that was bullshit. So, anyway. But anyway, the director that directed this name of the only thing I remember about this movie, it was one of Christian Slater's first movies. He was in The Legend of Billie Jean, which was with his older sister Helen. But this one, he was 16 when he made it. And he's got this really explicit sex scene in this movie about monks. He's a monk in training in this movie. And it's a monk murder mystery. And it was okay. It was all right. But the only thing I remember is that there was all this controversy because he was 16 and his balls were hanging out in the movie. I remember it was an explicit sex scene with Christian Slater's 16-year-old nutsack hanging out. I was, what the... That's the only thing I remember about the movie. I don't remember who did it or why. Primal Fear, who's the real killer, what's going on. Richard Gere, Edward Norton's first movie. I don't want to spoil it, but Edward Norton did it. He's a split. They think he's a split personality, but he isn't. He was faking it the whole time. Yeah, I will say this: biggest surprise. When I just ruined it for you, and I don't give a shit. But the movie's fucking 30 years old or something, 25 years old. See it already. So anyway. I will say this. I was completely fooled by that movie. That's one of those movies that's got one of those twist endings, the big ending, where the reveal of Edward Norton, faking it the whole time, fucking great. One of the biggest surprises ever. It was great. I ruined it for you. Fucking get on the ball. Movie came out in like 1996, for Christ's sake. See it. Mystic River. Great movie. Clint Eastwood, all-star cast. Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon. Everybody else in the world is in it. Really great movie with an uncompromising, awesome ending. That's a great murder mystery. Knives Out, which was a few years ago, which was easily just a takeoff on the Agatha Christie murder mysteries. Get a whole bunch of people. There's a reading of a will. Somebody dies. Who killed them? And the family members and friends all gather together in one place. And Daniel Craig plays the detective. Now, you kind of know who did it pretty early on in the movie. It's not necessarily a whodunit all the way till the end, but it's set up just like that. Terrific movie, and that's why there's going to be 2 more sequels. They've already got 2 more sequels with Daniel Craig repeating that role. So Knives Out, great one. Sleuth, which was based on the play, made into a movie with Laurence Olivier and Michael Caine, and then remade by Jackass Branagh again with Jude Law and Michael Caine, the 2 Alfies. And the Branagh version, but the original version, it was a movie that I loved. When I was a little kid, I loved Sleuth. I thought it was so cool. Just those 2 actors in different disguises, murder mystery. Very cool. Forget the hack, the Branagh version of it. The Third Man, it's a murder mystery. There are a ton that fall under that category. This is not it's not really like a whodunit, gather the suspects movie. Obviously, The Third Man, Carol Reed, masterpiece. But a great one. Chinatown's another one. Great murder mystery. Great whodunit, but again, not the Agatha Christie kind of gather the suspects together, but a great one. You got Vertigo and Rear Window. Those are great whodunits. Hitchcock made a lot of those murder mysteries, obviously. I mean, I'm speaking, people, this already, that, here's something that you might not know. Hitchcock made murder mysteries. Thanks for informing us about that, Nick. Fucking moron. But anyway, Rear Window, Vertigo, I think, are 2 of the upper echelon murder mysteries, especially Rear Window. Raymond Burr. Ooh. 7. Who did it? Who's the murder? Who's the mystery there? You don't really know. You're trying to figure out who John Doe is, and then it does turn out to be, Kevin Spacey. Again, I don't want to ruin it for you, but again, the fucking movie came out in 1995. You should have seen it 15 times by now. But yeah, it's not, a classic sort of Agatha Christie murder mystery, but you're trying to figure out who did it, and then when you find out, the Kevin Spacey character is John Doe. So 7's a good murder mystery. A happy movie, too. How about Clue? Now, that's a classic one. Clue is based on the board game, and the movie is about as good as a movie based on a board game. I know a lot of people love that movie. An incredible cast. There's some funny moments in it. Anytime you get Madeline Kahn in a movie, it's automatically great just because she's in it. She's got great moments. It's a great cast. It's not really a good movie. I don't know, people really have rose-colored glasses when it comes to that movie. Clue's not a good movie. I mean, it's, it can't help but have great moments because the cast is so loaded. My God, the cast is unbelievable, loaded with unbelievably funny people. Too bad the script's not very funny. And I remember when the movie came out, they had 3 different endings. They had A, B, and C. And in order to get people to see it multiple times, you would go to different movies. One set of theaters would be showing ending A, one set of theaters would be showing ending B, and one set of theaters would be showing ending C. And the idea that Paramount had was to get people to go see the movie. They would love it so much that if they saw ending B, they would go, let's go to a movie and see ending C. Oh, and I loved ending C so much, let's go and see ending A. And we'll pay to see it 3 times. It didn't work. And then when it came out on video, they just threw all 3 endings at the all 3 possible endings at the end, which is now when you see it on cable or wherever, that's what happens. But the idea was to get you to pay 3 times to see the movie with their 3 different endings. Didn't work. You know why? Because the movie's not that good. Lots of funny people in it. Tim Curry's great. Tim Curry's phenomenal as the butler. But that's a murder mystery, satire. There you go. You got the Thin Man movies, obviously. Those are great murder mysteries. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is a murder mystery, and the book that it was based on is much more. The book it's based on is a much more traditional murder mystery, the way it's set up. But the movie has still got a murder mystery element. I mean, Jesus Christ, the title is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, so there's a mystery involved in there, murder mystery. Got to figure out who did it, and so that one works. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. A great murder mystery. For my money, the first big comeback for Robert Downey Jr. Everybody talks about Iron Man, and everybody talks about Tropic Thunder. For me, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. That's the one. You can trace the big comeback, the Robert Downey comeback, to Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which is better than any of those movies that he did after that. This is Shane Black's movie, and also The Nice Guys. We can use that as a companion piece. The Nice Guys, which is a fucking hilarious, great movie with Russell Crowe and Ryan Gosling. I love that movie. If you've not seen it, it's absolutely hilarious and great. Great murder mystery, really funny. And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, both Shane Black, great movies. Great, funny chemistry between the two guy leads. All of it is great, especially The Nice Guy. I mean, I love both of them. They're both really funny kind of takeoffs on the murder mystery. Scream, not the new one called Scream. I'm talking about the original 1996 Wes Craven movie. That's definitely a murder mystery. You try and figure out who the killer is. There ends up being a couple of killers at the end. Again, I don't want to ruin it for you, but fuck, it came out 29 years ago, so go see it. Anyway, so yeah, Scream. Great slasher movie, great satire of slasher movies, terrific movie all the way in general, a great horror movie, and a terrific murder mystery. With a surprise. I didn't guess who the killers were. I guess Blowout and Brian De Palma made a bunch of murder mysteries too. Because, well, obviously his biggest inspiration was Hitchcock. So Brian De Palma's movies, a lot of them can fall under murder mystery. And a lot of them, like Body Double and Raising Cain and things like that, it piss a lot of people off. Which is what Dressed to Kill, which is one of the reasons why I love Brian De Palma. Not only do I think he's a master filmmaker and one of the greatest directors that's ever lived, and he is responsible for some of incredible American masterpieces, but he makes movies that piss people off, and I like that. I like that people get pissed off at Brian De Palma movies. But I guess Blowout is a murder mystery. It's definitely the best movie he's ever made. The Last of Sheila, classic. Stephen Sondheim passed away not too long ago. He co-wrote it with Anthony Perkins. All-star cast, all-star 70s cast. Listen, when Diane Cannon is in a movie, that's an all-star 70s cast. And it's a total takeoff of the murder mystery, the Agatha Christie, gather the suspects into one place murder mystery. Last of Sheila, if you've not seen it, you should. I know the streaming services were getting hit big time after Sondheim passed away because people started watching it. A great one and a great example of a murder mystery. And then you've got the Charlie Chan movies and the Sherlock Holmes movies. Those are clearly murder mysteries. The suspects are provided. These go back, to literary times that go back years and years, and they're classic murder mystery detective and characters. So the Charlie Chan movies and the Sherlock Holmes movies, although don't watch the Sherlock Holmes movies that Guy Ritchie directed because they suck, and Guy Ritchie is a talentless sack of crap. But that's a whole different video. But yeah, Charlie Chan and the Sherlock Holmes movies, always a lot of fun. Bird with the Crystal Plumage, Dario Argento. He's another guy who made the Giallo movies, and the Giallo movies were based on murder mysteries, but amped up to about 50. On a scale of 1 to 10, Giallo movies are up to 50, where you get the gloved murderer and the knife, and you never really see the killer's face, and sometimes the murder mysteries aren't satisfying at all. And that's the case with a lot of these movies that I've mentioned. Sometimes when the reveal of the killer happens, you go, who the fuck is that? This person wasn't even in the movie the whole time. Bedroom Window is another one. Curtis Hanson made this murder mystery, like who's the killer? And there's a lot of cheating going on in some of these movies, and even in Death on the Nile, the Kenneth Branagh Death on the Nile. He's throwing out facts that we, as an audience, never got to see. The bed was made with hospital corners, blah, blah, blah. We never saw that shit earlier in the movie. That wasn't given to us. It's cheating. When you make a murder mystery and you don't show all of the stuff to the audience for the audience to try and figure out, you're cheating. You cheated, Branagh. Not only are you a hack director, but you're a goddamn cheater. And you cheated on Emma Thompson, too. Anyway, Dario Argento made a ton of these murder mysteries. Most of them don't make any sense. But Bird with the Crystal Plumage is probably the most sane of all of his, murder mystery, who did it kind of things, because he made a bunch of them. The Giallo films in the late 60s and into the 70s, he made a bunch of those before he went supernatural and ape shit. And now he just makes crazy-ass movies. And Suspiria, being one of the greatest movies ever made, doesn't make a lick of sense. The original Suspiria, Dario Argento Suspiria, I don't know what the fuck, I have no idea what it's about or what's going on. I love every frame of it. It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Doesn't make any sense. But Bird with the Crystal Plumage and some of the earlier Dario Argento, great murder mysteries. Hateful Eight. Okay, clearly Tarantino, who's been inspired by everybody and has ripped off everybody, I mentioned, Brian De Palma. He's ripped off De Palma 900 times. But Tarantino has been inspired by, and most blatantly has ripped off a lot of other filmmakers and a lot of other inspirations. And clearly, The Hateful Eight is like Agatha Christie and The Thing. Like, he completely ripped off Carpenter's The Thing, all the way down to casting Kurt Russell in it. But Hateful Eight is completely aped from The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and throwing in an Agatha Christie murder mystery. It's great, though. I'm not going to say it's not great. As much as I can't stand Tarantino as like a human, like he drives me nuts, he's one of these guys who I don't want to see in interviews. I don't want to hear him talk. Please do everybody a favor. Shut the fuck up and just make movies. Okay? Because you make great movies. You are an annoying dickhead. Okay? So just shut your mouth. Shh. No, Tarantino, don't talk. And all he does is talk. Blah, 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 blah. But every time he opens his mouth, I want to punch him square in the face. But he makes great movies. So here's a little message to Tarantino. And I know you're watching. I know that you watch my videos. You subscribe. Please shut your mouth. Do everybody on earth a favor and don't speak. Shh. Because you're an annoying jagoff. Make movies, though, because you make great ones. Hateful Eight, great murder mystery, great takeoff on Agatha Christie, terrific movie, even though it's a complete ripoff of The Thing with an Agatha Christie mystery thrown in. Now, that brings me to a quintessential murder mystery movie. It's set up exactly like 10 Little Indians, which is the Agatha Christie story, which was made into a movie a couple of times, and then there were none. 10 Little Indians. And Agatha Christie movies date back to the silent era. Almost. I mean, there are a lot of Agatha Christie adaptations in America, worldwide, in Britain. The Poirot, television series with David Suchet, that was huge. But there's this one movie that came out in 2003, directed by James Mangold, and it's one of my favorite murder mysteries of all time. It's a total takeoff on it. It's a winking. It's a serious, murder mystery, but it's also got a great sense of humor and a great sense of style, and it acknowledges and it owes everything to the classic murder mystery setup. Bunch of characters gathered together in one location, trapped by something. Like in many of these movies, people are trapped by weather, or like on Death on the Nile, they're on a boat. Everybody is stuck in one location. Well, the movie that I'm talking about is from 2003. A lot of people hate it. It got generally bad reviews when it came out. It now has kind of a cult following. I personally think it's fucking great. Identity. James Mangold directed it. Unbelievable cast. Murder mystery. Total setup. Everybody goes into this roadside hotel, or motel, I should say, shitty motel. There's an unbelievable, horrible rainstorm, awful weather outside, and this incredible, terrible rainstorm has isolated these 10 people who show up at this motel, and they start dropping like flies. People start getting murdered. Kind of the main character is a limo driver played by John Cusack. And you try to figure out who the murderer is. Pruitt Taylor Vince plays this mentally unstable, maniacal killer who was en route to like a mental institution, and he's there too, and he's like a convicted maniac. We all know he's a fucking lunatic killer. Is he the one killing people in this hotel? You've got characters played by Ray Liotta. You got Amanda Peet, John Hawkes, Clea Duvall, John C. McGinley, Jake Busey, and Rebecca De Mornay are among the suspects and the people there. The characters are a lot of fun, all the actors, and listen to that cast. That cast is amazing, and they all do a great job, and it is as ridiculous as you would imagine it is, and yet it takes itself very seriously. It's creepy, it's funny, it follows all of the wonderful cliches that you find in the one location murder mystery, Whodunnit. And it does it beautifully. And again, it got trashed when it came out. I remember when it came out, I gave it a fucking great review on WGN, and I caught hell for it. People were like, this movie is so stupid. My friends hated it. I remember my friends hating it. And the girl that I started dating at around that time hated it and thought I was insane. I recommended that she see it, and she went, and she called me up and said, what the fuck is wrong with you? This movie's ridiculous. Identity. I love it. I think it's one of the best whodunit murder mysteries of all time. It not only does it perfectly and plays it straight like Knives Out does, but it has a great sense of humor like Knives Out. And I think it's better than Knives Out. Knives Out made like $1 billion at the box office and got all this critical acclaim and was really, really great. And it was a nice revenge for Rian Johnson for all the Star Wars dickheads getting mad at him because he didn't, follow meta and didn't make the Star Wars fans happy because he made an actual movie. He didn't make a carbon copy of something else. So this was like redemption for Rian Johnson. So I love Knives Out on that level. But Identity, fantastic. Everybody, Cusack's great in it. Everybody, Leota, Rebecca De Mornay, fantastic. There's a fantastic scene. One of the killings, I won't give everything away because not a lot of people have seen it. But Jake Busey ends up with a baseball bat shoved down his throat. There's like shots of Jake Busey with his mouth wide open and a whole baseball bat jammed down his throat. Fantastic. So, Identity, classic, stranded, 10 suspects in one place. Who did it? Funny, awesome. Everybody hates it, but I don't give a shit. 2003, directed by James Mangold. If you want a great murder mystery that kind of sails under the radar that most people hate, a great whodunit, Identity. It's certainly 9,000 times better than anything Kenneth Branagh has made, especially this new version of Death on the Nile, which is not good. So, anyway, Death on the Nile, skip it. It sucks. Go rent Identity, stream Identity. You'll probably hate it, because everybody I know who saw it hates it and they wanted to kill me. There would have been no mystery. All of my friends were the killers. I was the victim because I recommended Identity to them. But I don't give a shit. I love it. Okay, what's your favorite whodunit? Ooh, I know I missed a few, but leave your thoughts for best murder mystery and whodunits here. What?